Hi everybody, I just want to give you an introduction to your research project. And I think that this is especially important because your project for this class is very different than what you are probably used to. As you can see from the title, it says Multi-Genre Research Project. So let's talk about what that means for a little bit. Your normal research project is like a research paper or maybe a presentation where you go and you gather information from a bunch of sources, and what tends to happen is students just sort of smush it all together and throw in some of their own thoughts and ideas, put in citations, hopefully, and call it a day. That's great. But you will be having to write lots of research papers like that for other classes. So I tried to switch it up a little bit and use this project called a multi-genre project. So multi-genre simply means that it is made up of multiple components, and each component is a genre. So you are allowed to use multiple voices and multiple sources, not just your own. And it's not a matter of simply finding quotes or data to throw into your own writing. So my reasoning behind this is that, one, it really allows for some creativity and allows you to sort of broaden your horizons in terms of research and really connect with your audience, which ultimately is the purpose of writing. When you write anything, the whole goal is to get the information across to your audience. So the better that you can engage them, the more successful you will be with carrying that information across. So there's some information here that I will simply not go over. But you can look at it breaking down what a multi-genre research project allows. So let's move on to the topic. You are doing an annotated bibliography in worksheet 1. Ideally, the topic that you select for that assignment should be the topic that you do your research project on, if for no other reason than to save you some time. So the topic should be something that interests you, whether it's something that you already know a lot about, or you know a bit about and you're curious to learn more, or you know nothing about, but you are super curious to learn. Because the more interested you are in your topic, again, the better your writing and presentation will be in terms of the information that you're dealing with. I know that when I go over this in a classroom, I tend to get these very deer in headlights looks. So if you are listening to this, looking at this, going, oh no, I don't understand, this is making me uncomfortable, don't sweat it. It's really not complicated. I have provided a lot of instruction. As I've said, if you have questions, ask them in the Ask a Question discussion board, because chances are if you have the question, one of your classmates has the question too, and that way then we can create a reference that you all can work with, and I have one location that I can go to answer the questions to help everybody out, which makes life a little bit easier. So first off, what's a genre? A genre is really a category of composition or a category of writing that has a distinct style or form. So I give you here this bulleted list of examples of genres that you could include in your paper. There are lots of genres that are not on this list. I could have typed and typed and typed, and you would have then been overwhelmed by a bulleted list. So if you have something that you would like to use but isn't on this list, ask. There's a good chance that I'm going to just say, yeah, oh, that sounds great. and you can put it in there. So you see the types of genres range from everything from an advice column to a video to a song, a cartoon, a table or a chart, a photograph, a poem, the different types of writing that we will do over the course of the semester, like autobiography or cause and effect, paintings, posters, collages. It really runs a very broad spectrum. So what are you going to do with these things? For your project, you need to have 10 pieces that represent at least 5 different genres. So if each of these things in this bulleted list is a genre, you need to use at least 5 different kinds of them. But remember, if you're creating something out of 10, that means that you can have multiples of one particular genre. So, out of these 10 genres that you are going to include, 5 of them must be created by you. Absolutely must. These are things that you are going to create or write, depending upon the genre that you so choose. The other 5 of them, or it could be less than 5. Say if you choose to make 6 or 7 yourself, you would then have 4 or 3 that you are borrowing from somewhere else. That means you've Googled your topic and you found something that is so super cool that when you want to introduce your topic to somebody else, this would be the thing that you're like, oh my gosh, you have to see this. Whether it's, a video or a song or a picture, a cartoon, newspaper article, magazine article, whatever. So no more than 5 of them will be borrowed. So you'll have at least 5 that you create yourself, and then the balance, up until 10 total pieces, will be borrowed from somewhere else. So they will be created by someone else. One of the pieces must be at least 2 double-spaced typed pages, and that's using 12-point font. So one of these 10 pieces must be a 2-page paper. And then ultimately, there should be a very clear connection between all of the pieces. So the 10 things that you choose to submit all need to be related to your overall topic. So in addition to these 10 pieces, you're going to have some other components. You're going to have a title page with an interesting and creative title. You're going to have a cover letter, which is also called the Dear Reader letter, which we'll talk about in a second. You'll have a table of contents and a bibliography. Any artwork or digital media, anything that you take off of the internet, counts as one page, which we'll get to. So ultimately, your entire project should be around 15 pages. And I know that this sounds like a lot, but bear with me, because it's not like you're typing a 15-page paper. So all of these components together appear in this order. The very first page is your title page. It should have a catchy layout. You can include graphics. You can include color. It should have your name. It should have the date, the course information, and a creative title. If you think about titles of books or movies or articles you find online, it's the title that first grabs your attention and makes you want to look at it further. So your project should have an interesting title. So that's the first page. The second thing that will appear is your cover letter, which is a Dear Reader letter. And it's a letter format. You write Dear Reader as the greeting, and then you explain to your reader why you picked the topic you picked and what you're going to discuss about the topic. If you were writing a traditional research paper, your Dear Reader letter would be your introductory paragraph. And then you close it just like you would a regular letter, sincerely, with your name. It should be double spaced, but it shouldn't be any longer than a long paragraph. So really think about this as your introductory paragraph. The third component is your table of contents. This lists all of your components of your project in the order that they should be viewed and or read. This way, your reader, which, in terms of grading purposes is me, but you should think of it as a reader audience in general, will know how they should work through the components. Then after your table of contents, you'll present all of your genres. You can put them in whatever order you want. You could put all of the ones you create first, and then all of the ones that you borrow, or you can intersperse them and have one you created, one you borrowed, another one you borrowed, another one you created, so on. However you want to organize them. One of the genres you create is going to be this 2-page paper. This is really just a mini research paper. It's only 2 pages. It needs to have at least 3 citations. And what you really are doing here is taking something that you feel is the most important information about your topic and writing about it. It is just an essay. So you get to hyper-focus on one particular subtopic related to your overall project topic. Now, if your genres that you borrow are digital, you found them online, what you're going to do is put them all on one page, and you're simply going to provide a name and a title, and then the URL link, which this is why that table of contents is important, because without listing the preferred order of interaction in the table of contents, you would have to put each one of those links on a separate page, which can be kind of annoying and frustrating. And then the last component is your works cited, which would include the citations for the 3 sources for your 2-page paper and citations for all of your borrowed genres, and it will follow MLA format. The way that you are going to submit this is by saving the final version as a PDF and submitting it as a PDF file through Blackboard. So you can create it originally in Microsoft Word or Google Docs. I've also had students create it in either Google Slides or PowerPoint. That works too, and then save it as a PDF, and then that's what gets submitted. As mentioned, this has a grading rubric that is separate from the standard essay rubric. So it's broken down here, and you have the various elements that you're getting graded on, and then the points categories that you are able to earn. I think it's fairly straightforward, but again, if you have any questions, never hesitate to ask. I know that this is very different from what you're used to. I try to provide as much introduction and support as possible. I know that I'm introducing it to you guys very early in the semester, primarily because we have a very short semester, quote unquote, with summer session 2, and I don't want you to wait until that last minute to try to throw all of this together. So some of the assignments, like worksheet 1, is sort of related to this. As we move through the semester, I will be providing some reminder information about it, just to make sure that it stays at the top of your mind for this. So again, I think that this is a little bit more fun than our traditional research paper. And if you have any questions, absolutely do not hesitate to ask.